So once again, good evening and welcome to another You Matter chat show with myself, Scott Jones, and to that side of me is Mr. Andy Leach.
How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, really, really well. Well, Scott and I met for the first time in real life tonight. How exciting was that?
That is incredible. Yeah, I think we've been doing this for quite a while now and never actually met in person yet. So yeah, I must say, mate, it's a treat. You look even more good looking in real life.
Well, yeah, it's nice to see that the camera does put the pounds on us, doesn't it, Scott, to be fair?
It does. We're both skinny in real life, aren't we?
Both really skinny in real life. Yeah, met Scott for the first time. Scott popped round. To be fair, it didn't dawn on me till you said this is the first time we've met. It feels like we've been mates forever. So it was a bit strange. I feel a little bit, I didn't do it justice. You know, when you came knocked the door and you gave me what you gave me, and I was like, and we were talking, and I feel like I didn't do the meeting justice because it was like, I never clicked that we'd never actually physically met before. So that was great. Nice to meet you, Scott.
Weird one, isn't it? Yeah, but it's lovely to see you in person.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm sure we'll see more of each other as time progresses, the way it's going.
Definitely. Well, I got some quick hellos in the thing. We got a woo from Amy Dalglish, and Richard Farlow says, "Evening, guys." Well, evening, everyone. We've got a bit of a treat for you tonight because we've got a guest on the show. So we've got Andy Leach, who's joining us, who was behind the speed quizzing, which a lot of you might have played a quiz with a very good quiz host. But also somebody might play my quizzes as well if you haven't played with him. So we'll be talking a bit about that. And Andy was also so Alan was also the drummer in Shed 7. So we might be trying to get a little bit of what it was like to be in the pop industry as well, what the music game is really like. So I think, and without further ado, should we bring in our guest?
Let's bring him in, yeah. Let's bring him in. Why not? Let's go straight with it.
So You Matter chat show. Let's welcome Andy Leach.
No, you got his name wrong already. Look,
I did. It's Alan Leach. Sorry.
Can't hear you.
So it works so well in practice.
There you go. Is that better?
There we go. That's it.
Is that too loud?
That's just fine, thank you, Andy.
Scott, that's the third time you've called me Andy now. He called me Alan once, and they called me Andy 3 times.
It's because I'm used to only talking to Andy on the show, and it's too close.
Yeah.
Our surnames are very similar. Alan, mine's Leach.
Is it? That's a small world. Andy Leach, Alan Leach.
That's why he gets confused, I think. Yeah.
I'm easily confused with most things as well, so
that's okay.
And thanks for joining us on the show.
You're welcome.
Just want to talk about more or less speed quizzing, sort of the company and how you sort of came about starting that up as a company and what actually is speed quizzing all about.
So are most of your listeners familiar with the quiz then? Most of them have been playing the quizzes, have they, would you say?
I think we've had a few, me and Andy talk about it most weeks on here, so they're aware of it all.
So, yes, I was a bit of a fan. I was a musician. I am a musician. Shed 7's still going, with doing some gigs this year, fingers crossed. But when we had a kind of a hiatus where in the 2000s it wasn't really doing much, I was teaching drums, but I also loved quizzes, going to pub quizzes. But it was a time where people were starting to cheat on the phones. People were getting... This is well ahead of people getting Google and cheating on the phones. This was when people just first got phones, possibly even pre-texting, but it was a novelty having a phone in your pocket. I don't think people set out to cheat, but already it was phone a friend, it was a novelty having the phone in your pocket. So you might, it might be a question about the Who. Oh, my mate Dave, he likes the Who, so you'd sneak out and ring him. And that was just the beginning, because then it was texts. And then I'd say the next stage was people did have Google on the computer at home, so you'd be having someone at home on the computer, you'd text them under the table, and then now it's come to where you can actually get the answers on your phone first and on Google. So right at the beginning, we just started to think this is spoiling it for a lot of people, and so long before smartphones, we were building things out of bits of wire and switches and things to find solutions for make it a bit more quick fire and that, and then the invention of the smartphone or the tablet, we were quite quick to jump on that, really. As soon as I remember buying, because now we've got loads of like cheap tablets and Kindle Fires and things to test it on. But back then, this is sort of 12 years ago, when the iPod Touch first came out, that was your cheapest option for buying something, what you could put apps on. And there was still about £200 each. So I remember we invested in 4 of them little things and just started building it. And my brother's a programmer, and we develop it together. And we're quite ahead of the time, really, if I say so myself.
Were you going to pub quizzes yourself, Alan? Is that like, were you hosting pub quizzes, or were you just taking part and noticed?
I was just taking part then. I stood in for my mate hosting a couple pen and paper quizzes. Yeah, just loved playing quizzes. And then as soon as I bought some kit from America, like these big wireless buzzers, and I bought 20 of them. And so I'd go out hosting with these, but the software, it was a good idea and they worked well, but the software was basic. So I said to my brother, who was getting into software development through a bit of web design and that, I said, do you think you can make something better? And we just started, people were showing, and people loved it. People loved what we were doing, but this was before the smartphone. And we were actually thinking, should we, manufacture these buzzers because they're expensive? And then just when we were about to maybe remortgage our houses to actually get something manufactured, the whole smartphone thing started to happen. The tablet, the app-based, tablet, and we had a lucky escape really, because I think if we'd left it another year, we might have remortgaged our houses, bought or invested in a load of hardware, which would have looked a bit stupid now when everyone's got a smartphone in the pocket.
Yeah. So you said I found an article earlier, but I've had to close it because it was slowing down my computer for some reason. But I found an article you did an interview, I think, in 2019 in the Yorkshire Post. It is about how the app started. You started it with a couple of grand, and you've got, I think the numbers are in there. You got 175 people using it in the UK or something like that at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually quite slow to start because I'd seen it firsthand how much fun people were enjoying it in the pub. I thought everyone's going to love this as soon as it goes live, and it wasn't. We had in the first year we had 5 adopters as hosts who were doing it, who were quite visionary as well. But most people thought we were insane. People were saying, "What? You've got everyone in the pub's got to have a smartphone." They thought we were mad, and even though you didn't, because you only need one per team anyway. But people couldn't get their head around it, so it was hard. We nearly threw the towel in a few times, but stuck with it. And now, we've got, I don't know what we've got now, users in terms of people playing it. Well, let's work it out. We reckon there's about 1,000 quizzes a week. So let's say there's average 30 playing them. There's probably, I don't know, 30,000. That's in the pubs. Probably a bit more than that if you include all the ones on the internet. I think we think it was near 100,000 people playing a week in lockdown over the internet. So
has that helped a bit? I mean, as a business, is it taken off during lockdown, or is it just a hobby? And I use that really lightly, that word, to be honest.
I mean, the thing with us, it still feels like a hobby. We didn't set out for it to become a business. We started as a hobby. And it still feels like a hobby. Now, we still get excited when we go in and we try and make things better and we make the picture questions more reliable and that. But to answer that question, so there's 2 versions. There's a version that you play face-to-face in the pubs. That's our main thing. And then when lockdown happened and that all fell on its arse, we had to think of something else. So we came up with the version that worked on Zoom. And even though it didn't make us as much money, the Zoom version, it did make our profile go up a lot. A lot of people who weren't even into quizzes, it got a lot of people who weren't into quizzes. So obviously we benefited from that, people getting into that. And what we have found now is there's quite a lot of people now the pubs are opening who wouldn't have gone to our quizzes before are now going to the pub quizzes. So we've done all right out of it. But not. It'll be a while before we've financially made up for what we've lost having a year with no one in the pubs.
Yeah, okay. So it's a big hit then, the actual physical version of the quiz.
It is. I think. Luckily, we're not sort of a flash company. We're not flash people. We don't have flash cars. We don't, we don't waste money. So. We were all right. If we'd have been, if we'd had hire cars, lease cars and a big posh office, we might not have survived it. But we don't really spend much money. We're simple folk.
Up north, simple folk up north.
Not to be confused with simpletons.
No, that's us down here. That is. That's
Is
us.
it? Where are you at? Where are you at?
Because we're Kidderminster, so near Birmingham.
All right, yeah.
Birmingham Midlands.
Pretty daft around there, aren't you?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I sent that to Alan. We're in a quiz together the other week, and I think I finished one place above you in it. It was the host quiz.
That? Oh, in the host quiz, I did terrible that night. I was tired. Well, I've got all the excuses. I just didn't know any of the answers to the questions. No, it was but it wasn't very musicy, was it? It was quite serious. I thought the questions, they weren't my kind of questions. Let's just say that it was a clever person's quiz. Which, why would you want a clever person's quiz? Who's going to like that?
We've done a couple. Me and my partner have done a couple. We've done Scott's and we've done other people's as well on a random evening. Yeah. And some nights you go and you sit there going, am I really this daft?
Yeah.
Because you've had 4 rounds and I haven't got an answer right yet.
It's always been the fundamental flaw in any kind of quiz, whether it's a pub quiz, a work quiz, a pen and paper quiz. People always think that you have to make them harder than what you do.
Yeah.
And to be fair, in a pen and paper quiz, you arguably do, because if you ask an easy question, everyone's going to look at you like, well, why? We all know the answer to that. It's a waste of time. But that's the good thing about speed quizzing, is that you can put ridiculously easy questions in to keep people interested who aren't that clever. And it's still competitive, because even if you say, what's the dog called in Scooby-Doo, it's still, whoever presses S fastest for Scooby-Doo still gets the advantage, still gets the points. So it's more inclusive, I think, is our type of quiz.
Yeah, we'd have challenges where we'd sit, because we weren't always doing really well. We'd just see if we could be the fastest answer. Yeah. We get excited about getting our team name up on the screen. That was a big thing.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people, if you get one right fastest, there's 20 teams, and you get one, you're happy with that,
Yeah, we're happy with that. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. I think my favourite type of questions as well is the ones where, you think it's obvious, and then there's like a twist in the question, like the answer starts with the same first name, and everyone presses it thinking it's that, and then it's a different last name.
They are good, but you've got to use them sparingly as people get wise to it. I tend to put one of them in every other quiz sort of thing, because otherwise people, they get to know what you're doing, don't they?
Yeah, they don't trust me as much as they used to, so can't get away with it as much.
You host well, Alan?
Say again?
You host quizzes as well?
I do, yeah. I mean, I was doing the pubs before, and I haven't gone back to the pubs yet because I don't like wearing the mask. I have hay fever, and it really bothers my nose. So, but I will be going back in the pubs. But I was just saying to Scott before, when we first created Speed Quizzing Live in that first month of the first lockdown, I was doing 14 quizzes a week. I was doing one at lunchtime and another one in the evening, mainly because what we were doing, we were developing it in the day and then testing it. So you'd do a quiz. I'd say, right, that worked, but that didn't. The picture questions were a bit slow. My brother and our developer mates would get on it in the rest of the evening and the morning, test it again at lunchtime. So yeah, I was doing 14 quizzes a week for the first month. By the end, I was just doing 13 quizzes a month, and now I've brought it down to 3 a month. I just needed a break from it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you do, Scott, 1 a week, innit?
I have now changed it down to 1 a month.
1 a month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the next one's actually this Friday, if anyone's interested in playing. A little plug there. Get it seamlessly.
See, I'll get this segue thing.
Yeah. But yeah, as well, Alan, I mean, on the other side of it, where, I mean, this show is part of a mental health page for the Wire Forest mental health. I mean, doing the quizzing also helped a lot of people that, we're going to go insane for lockdown from being locked in. And like you said, a lot of people don't normally quiz. We're enjoying the speed quizzing because it's not a serious quiz, but they're able to have something to look forward to. I mean, like my quizzes used to say that, it was the highlight of their weeks was doing the Tuesday and Friday quizzes.
Yeah, well, mine brought a lot of people together. I've got a Facebook group with about 700 people on it who didn't know themselves before, didn't know each other before. And and then they had little subgroups. Then they started hosting quizzes themselves. But to be honest, I like to think that it was a big thing for them, but it was a big thing for me as well. I'm a sociable person, and I'm lucky. I live in a nice house, and our family get on. but it's still hard at times. And I just think people who live by themselves, and there are people who live in houses who just don't get on with it's only, imagine living in a situation where you don't get on with the other people you're living in your house. Must have been awful. But like I say, I was going insane, and I just looked forward to doing the quizzes so much, just seeing all them faces, some of which I knew, some of which I didn't. It was it was good for me, really good for me.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone's got any experience of the quizzes or any sort of quizzes going on, they want to put it in the comments. We can have a little chat about those. What's that? If you don't mind just stepping away from the speakers a little bit, and maybe you mentioned about your music career beforehand. Obviously,
are you saying, am I being too loud? Am I distorting a bit? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think you're fine.
I thought you just said step away from the. What did you say?
No, I was just talking about stepping away from the speed quizzing.
Oh, speed quizzing. I thought you said from the speaker. I thought you meant I was distorting on the thing.
No, you're fine, don't worry.
Could be worse. Could be calling me Andy. Right, go on. What's the question? Fire away.
It's just going to be like, if we can talk a bit about your music career with Shed 7.
Yeah.
How did the whole sort of band come about, and how easy was it getting into the music industry?
It was very different then, and we were very lucky. I mean, it was all about record deals then. Everyone was obsessed with getting a record deal. That was the only way really into it, that was the be all and end all. And we just, we were doing music. I didn't join until 1990, but the rest of the band had been doing music at their school with my brother, funnily enough, John, who does speak, was in with us. He was the keyboard player. And so that's the 80s. They were into the Smiths, and I wasn't that into the Smiths. I was into the Jam, and they were into the Smiths, and I just wasn't that interested. But then the Stone Roses came along in 1990, and the Happy Mondays, and all of a sudden we had common ground then. Their drummer left, our John left on keyboards, and I joined on drums, and then we became Shed 7. That's where the name that's when the name happened, 1990. But then, so we were just trying to be like our favourite bands, really. We were just, doing what was happening at the time. But then the arse kind of fell out of that sort of scene, the sort of the 90s indie scene. I don't know if you remember. Then Nirvana came along, and them sort of British bands kind of fell by the wayside. And then a lot of bands, and dance music came in massive, this sort of acid house thing, and the rave culture. And it was quite unfashionable what we were doing for like 2 or 3 years in York. We couldn't know in 1990 we might have played to 200 people in York. We couldn't play to 20 people in 91, 92, 93, but then all of a sudden Blur came along, Suede, Radiohead, Oasis. But we came along at the same time as Oasis. We put our first record out the same week as Oasis, and then it went from where you couldn't get arrested to all of a sudden the record companies were looking for guitar bands again, and we just happened to we'd stuck with it, and by then our musical style had changed a bit, but it still had a bit of all the influences, the Smiths and the Stone Roses, but we were doing the right thing at the right place at the right time at the right age, and it just worked. It worked for us, yeah.
Perfect. I mean, and what was that like? Feeling like when you sort of made it into the industry, and you're doing your first big gigs, and there's thousands of people singing your songs back to you.
Obviously, it was good, but at that age, there's the saying, isn't there, that youth is wasted on the young. Or is it? Or youth? Yeah, youth is wasted on the. You don't appreciate it at the time because you just think you deserve it. You think that it's only going to get bigger, and you think that's the. Well, yeah, I'm playing to 1,000, but I'll probably be playing to 10,000 in 5 years' time. You don't realise that it was a kind of the whole 90s Britpop thing was a bit of a it was it lasted. It was at its peak for sort of 2 years, wasn't it? There was Blur and Oasis and things like that. I mean, we like I say, we came out at the same time as Oasis, but yeah, it isn't till then you realise, this isn't going to last forever, and you have to start looking for the things. Then you look back and think, wow, that was great. Probably should have appreciated it more. But we've been lucky; we've been given a second chance. So we split up in the early 2000s, had 4 years off because it had started. People weren't coming to see us. There wasn't the interest in any of our sort of music. All the Oasis were struggling by then. No one was as interested as they were. and then we got back together 12 or 13 years ago, and we play to more people live now than we ever have. And we had a top 40 album at Christmas with that live album. We had a studio album 3 years ago which went top 40 as well. So we've had we've done all right, really. We've done all right out of it.
Do you think that, like you're saying, you're playing to more people? Do you think that, because I'm a bit on this train as well, a little bit, in the fact that as we've got older, I mean, I'm 50 and a little bit now, and so that era's our era, but the interest goes back just to go and relive that a little bit and just keep you're playing to bigger audiences than you were when you were at your height.
Well, of course it is, yeah. I mean, it's not most of it's nostalgia. Most of the people are sort of our age, but there are some youngsters now getting into it. You know, a lot of them will be the kids of the dads who took them when they were younger or played them. So, but yeah, it is kind of a nostalgia thing. But like, I think as well, there was so much competition then. You know, we were just one band. You had your all the bands I've already mentioned. Then you had your Super Furry Animals and Supergrass and the Blue Tones and Cast and all that. You had all this competition. So many bands to go and see. And whereas now a lot of them bands aren't gigging as much as they were, they're not all the original lineup. That's a big thing I think for us. We're still the original lineup, and people do like that. And you know, and we still, you know, we look after ourselves. We can still play. We put on a decent show. So yeah, we're great. We are.
Yeah. And he's got speed quizzing on the side.
Yeah,
the biggest facts, to be honest. When Scott said you were coming on, and I was thinking, so which is the biggest fact? The fact he was drummer for one of the big indies bands in the 90s, or the wow fact of he's also the guy behind speed quizzing?
Well, yeah, there was an article in the Guardian the other day about 10 random musicians who'd gone on to do other things, and I was number 10 on that, which was quite impressive.
You made the list.
There was a guy from, I think, the Anthrax guitarist who is now a master watchmaker, which that was probably the most impressive one. Wow. I'd like to be a master watchmaker, but yeah, and I was on there, number 10. So it is impressive. And it was funny. We were in a bar in York, and I was in the bar. There was like a mate of ours covers band was playing. I was there with the singer, and Rick still gets quite a lot of attention. He's the singer. He's quite distinctive looking. People always spot him. And I'll occasionally get spotted. And me and Rick were there, and this guy came over and he put his hand out, and Rick went to shake it, and then he hadn't spotted Rick, and he goes, "Are you Alan from Speed Quizzing?" You should have seen Rick's face; it was fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
that's what you want. Definitely.
I'll learn him.
We got one of our questions there, Scott. Charlie's asked, "Do you have one of those cool records mounted in a frame?"
I do, yeah. I've got one in the garage. It's a double gold, which I'm not sure what why we got a double gold. I think so. Gold is 100,000. Platinum's 300,000. I think we realised we weren't going to get to platinum, so we we said to the record company, "Can we not have a double gold?" And I think they just kind of made it up for us and put two gold records in one frame. So I've got that's sat in the garage. Yeah, it can't be far off going platinum, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think the record company.
It's sat in the garage. It's just in the garage, or is it hung? Is the garage your music room, if you like?
Yeah, it's a converted garage. It's like when we moved to this house. When the band first split up, and when I was just starting out with Speed Quizzing, I was also I made a little soundproof studio at the back so I could teach drums for local people, which tided me over nicely, really, doing that. I didn't really enjoy it. I shouldn't say that, because all the people I used to teach probably thought we had a whale of a time, but I won't. No, it served a purpose. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Do you have another question coming for you, Alan? From Mark, who says, "Hi, Alan. Who were your biggest influences when you first get onto music?"
I used to just like all the old stuff. I used to like drummers sort of bands. So I was into Keith Moon. So I was into the Who, and that sort of stuff. I always loved the 60s, and I liked soul music. But then it wasn't until it changed my life when I first saw the Stone Roses in 1990. Then I just got excited, and that opened a whole loads of other avenues for other listening to other music. But yeah, so the Stone Roses were my big, probably certainly as a drummer, because that guy very underrated. Well, he isn't underrated. People like him, but he's not. He's never in the top tens of drummers, and he's a lot better than some of them people who always you always see in them top tens. You know, it's a travesty that me and him aren't in it.
It is. It always surprised me that people like Ringo Starr are never in it. And that's probably some people are going to go, well, why would he be? I always think the Beatles wouldn't have been the Beatles without Ringo Starr's solid drum.
Well, I think people have realised the error of their ways a bit now, haven't they? In the 80s, I remember people used to say he was a terrible drummer, and it's because the fashion was to always be really solid and bray him really hard and have a sweat on in the 80s, wasn't it? So he used to get. I remember he was on Spitting Image. Do you remember that? They used to really pick on him. But now I think people have realised that he's one of the best drummers ever, just for having his own style and that, you know, there's a lot of drummers speak really highly of him now. He would be in my top 10. Yeah,
absolutely. I went out with my girlfriend last week, and we just randomly came across John Bonham's grave, a completely different genre, obviously, in local to us because it's only up the road from where we live. Local church, and we just happened to pop round the grave, and there's drumsticks everywhere all round the grave.
I was never a massive Led Zeppelin fan.
No, it's just.
But I know a lot of people are. He's always in the top 10, isn't he? I can appreciate it. You know, he was a bit more solid. I mean, I loved Keith Moon when I was a kid, and he was good when he was young. But I look back now, and he was a bit of a car crash towards the end. He just had a massive kit and just used to bray the hell out of him. But I don't think he was ever really listening to the song towards the end.
No, we got another question there as well. So what do you listen to now?
What do I listen to now? I'm quite mainstream in my tastes, really. I listen to all the old stuff I've ever liked. To be honest, now we have Spotify. A lot of people, you know, moan about Spotify, but just all the playlists and that. I rarely put an album on now. I'll just have I'll hear my wife playing something, or my kids. I've got 3 kids, so I hear them playing something. Oh, I like that, so I'll put it on my playlist. So I've just got playlists of stuff I like, and a lot of it isn't as well known. So as much as Spotify's probably damaging the major record industry in some ways, I think it is letting a few people who wouldn't be heard of otherwise sneak into people's sort of playlists and things. There's a few people I've got on my playlist, just from hearing them on other people's playlists, they might have only had like 1,000 listens, sort of thing. I mean, we got into the whole vinyl thing a while back, dusty old vinyl, what no one ever listens to. And that it was just a massive waste of money, because why would you get that big stupid daft thing out of that big stupid daft envelope, put it on that stupid thing, spins around, gets dust on it, when you can just go on your Spotify and go da-ding, and you're on.
It makes you that's again Spotify, like I say, I'm sure it has damage, but it is so nice to just increase your awareness of all these different types of music as well. Because I'm the same as you, I'll hear a song and I just put it on my like list, and bands I've never heard of, somebody will send you a link and you listen to their album, or you don't, you just put it in a playlist. And my listening, if I go for a walk and put the playlist on, it'll go from the 1960s to it's bands. It's not. I don't like the electronic music, but it's so eclectic. The mix that's on the list.
Definitely, yeah. That's what I'm like. Just to hear something, and you know, when you've got kids, my kids are all into music, so it's quite varied. And my wife likes good music as well. She like just easy listening, folky stuff. I'll just like melodic stuff, really. Probably quite reasonably old fashioned stuff.
Yeah. So there's another question there. That question was from Rachel, RWS, as she's known in our community, about what music you listen to now. So Richard Farlow, I'm guessing you've answered this question. Who is the number one drummer in your eyes?
Well, I did say Rennie from the Stone Roses. He influenced me most. But I like some sort of just musical drummers, some of you wouldn't expect, like Stevie Wonder. The fact that he couldn't see, Andy wrote all them songs, but he played drums on a lot of them records as well. So I always think people what sing and play drums, you know, them kind of guys are impressive. And I love all that old Motown sort of sound. I found out the other day, I hope I've got this right, Steve Tyler from Aerosmith started out as a singing drummer in his first band, and he claims that's why he's got such a strong voice, is because he used to have to be heard over the drum kit and everyone else in the band, and that's why his voice got so strong.
Good. Yeah, it would have to be, wouldn't it, to get over that yourself? Yeah. To be yourself as well, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, it's hard to sing lead vocals over a drum kit.
Yeah.
We're coming close to the end of time. We've got Alan for one last question, Alan, from Amy, who I know is a big Shed 7 fan. Been to see the tour on a few times. She says, do you ever go and watch any local bands in your spare time?
My kids both play in bands, so I often go and see their bands, and then they'll have bands supporting them. But I say often, we haven't done it for a year, have we? I mean, they've suffered a bit, our kids, because they're just that age now where the bands were getting into pubs, just old enough to start playing in pubs, and then they couldn't. So fingers crossed, hopefully, I will be going and start seeing some local bands. I'll be going to see my son's band is the Seratones, and then my daughter and my son are in the same band, Pavilion. But there's a few good bands around York and that. And yes, to answer that question, looking forward to that.
She's a bit starstruck, Alan. She's just put a comment on starstruck, yeah.
So she should be.
I don't know whether it's aimed at you, me, or Scott, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be any one of us.
All three together, I think it is. Yeah. But Alan, thank you for joining us. And I finally got your name right.
You have.
Maybe
she's starstruck by Andy, other Andy.
Yeah, might be,
who doesn't exist.
Yes, Andy Leach,
Andy Leach, that guy.
There's bound to be one. Is there anywhere, anything you'd like to mention, Alan, about the speed quizzing, where guys can go? Obviously, Scott's got his own, or is there a website?
No, I mean, play Scott's, play whoever's, and there's a lot of people hosting their own as well now. But if you go, I'll tell you what I will mention, if you do want to go in one in a pub, and they are good fun, they are more inclusive than a pen and paper quiz. If you type in sqfinder.com, so that's SQ, as in speed quizzing, finder.com, it'll show you where a lot of them are around the UK. And some areas there's a lot more than others. There's a few around Birmingham sort of way. Manchester, there's a lot. Then like Newcastle and things, there aren't many. So have a look on there, sqfinder.com.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And Shed 7, any plans? What's going on with you guys? Obviously limited at the minute, but...
No, we've got a big tour at Christmas, but it's nearly sold out, I think. So don't need to be the hard sell on that. No, I'm not on with anything to promote. I should write a book or something, so I've got something to promote, shouldn't I?
Yeah, right one. Do it now.
Yeah, I'll do. I'll come back when I've done it. It'll be a barrel of laughs.
Driving Rolls Royces into swimming pools while texting.
Yeah.
Real.
Living the dream. Well, Alan, once again, thank you for joining us and for giving up your time. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, Olliers.
Cheers. Alan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Cheers. There we go. What a fantastic insight that was. Again, thank Alan for joining us. Hopefully for everyone that did join just to watch, Alan will stay on and carry on watching us for a bit longer, because me and Andy are on for another 25 minutes yet.
We are. And thank you for those people that gave us some comments. I think we've got a couple of questions to go back. Amy Dalglish is very excited, obviously, because she's just spoken to Alan Leach, or Andy Leach, as Scott kept calling him. Always goes down well when you start the interviews with the people with the wrong name 3 times. Yeah, I'm sure he's well chuffed. Yeah, but we might have to send him gifts.
I think it's because Andy, you're such a big hero to me.
It is. He hasn't got certificates on his wall, has he? I bet he's just got double gold albums. Yeah, Charlotte, I can see you say I'd have that on display. I think it is on display. I think his garage is converted into a room. So he used the word garage. We'd have probably used mansions, West Wing, or something. So I think it is on display. It's in Rushock. Lou Smith is the answer. Rushock Village Church is where the grave is. It's a beautiful little church, beautiful little graveyard. It's nothing major. It's just a standard village graveyard. There's nothing special there. You just see his gravestone because it's got symbols and drumsticks laid by visitors out there, but it's nothing, there's no big paraphernalia. It's just a gravestone. Rachel and I weren't there particularly for that. We just stopped because we were geocaching, and in fact, I think I'd walk past it. Rachel went, "Oh, look at this! What's this?" And it was John's grave. So it's not a big fanfare, but there are things people have left. But it's Rushock Village Church if you want to go and have a mooch.
Sure. I'm going back. I'm not sure if he's still watching, but we had a usual message from Matty Paddock halfway through. where he says, "Evening, kids. Sorry to miss you last week for whenever you like. Would you all rather be tall enough to walk over every house in the world or small enough to walk under every door, and why?" I mean, he's got a great imagination, a great mind, as Matty. But yeah, so would you rather be tall enough to walk over every house in the world or small enough to walk under every door? The question is that even if you're tall enough to walk over every house, you still obviously can't tread on them because you would squash houses. So you'd be like having to sort of make sure you step in between them all the time. And
I think I'd have to go for the small, because with being tall enough to step over houses, you haven't got any shelter or the first world comforts, have you? So I think I'd possibly go small.
Yeah, I mean you wouldn't be able to do much if you were tall enough to walk. I mean, it'd be great for walking places.
Getting there quickly, yeah.
But you won't have clothes to fit you. You won't be able to. Yeah. So, do you want to come for a drink? Oh, I can't, mate. Too tall.
Too tall, anyone?
Yeah.
Amy's going to be talking about speaking to Alan, the questions answered, and told him how stars. He's going to be talking about you tonight, Amy. He'll be sat on that sofa about how the starstruck Amy sat there and gooed up all over him. That's all I'm going to hear at tomorrow. We did find the geocache, Richard. They're great fun, geocaching. For those of you who don't know what it is, have a Google.
I was just going to ask you really what was geocaching. So I was too scared to ask this in case.
Geocaching.com is an app. Geo caching, CH as it's CA, it's GEOCACH. And basically people leave things in boxes, tiny boxes, magnet boxes, big boxes. They hide them. We found them in magnet boxes, back of road signs, in phone boxes, in bushes, and you just sign a bit of paper to say found it, and then you go on the app and say found. It's really exciting. You don't win anything. There's nothing in it. And I think we had a message from a guy who we said we'd found our first one on the forum thing, and he'd found 10,000. And there was a guy in America that's found 50,000. They're all over the world now. It was just a fun thing somebody started. And they literally leave little Tupperware pots with them. I take old plectrums with me and put a plectrum in the box if you can get it in. But there's always a piece of paper in there, and you just sign and date it, say you received it. You tag that you found it on the app, and it just builds up. And last Sunday we had 4 hours doing it. We just drove. A lot of them. There's a lot on walks and a lot locally. You don't get all of them without paying for the app, but we're only using it free at the minute. And we went for a drive round sort of Stockton on Tees and things, just get them up on my map, and we went and found them last Sunday. It's great fun. Just it's nice to get out and about.
Well, Charlie says, didn't people find a body in a suitcase doing geocache?
Possibly.
Something you might find.
Very possibly, yeah. Hopefully have a bit of paper I can sign to say I found it, because I don't want to ruin and waste a geocache.
That's it. So I missed a few comments there. From Kat said, "Is Scott Jones wearing a jumper?" I am, and it's because we haven't had a chance to do the reveal yet.
Are we having it?
Strip tease.
Are we having a reveal?
So NMS says you could get the top shelf. You get the top shelf of the supermarket if you were tall. Yeah, you could, but you might be too tall for it. Charlie says more to the point is Scott going to strip reveal. That's coming up right now. I think it's just a little convo going on with people there. Richard says, I was walking the dog, found it. Didn't know what it was about 6 years ago. Then found John Bonham's grave. Samantha says, how was Blackpool? Samantha, it was great. I got to walk to the top of the UK's tallest roller coaster. It was once the world's tallest for 1 month, and then it lost its title. I got to stand at the top of there talking about roller coasters to a roller coaster expert. So, yeah, it was fantastic stuff. I've got a video for that we'll show in a minute. For those of you who answered it, me at the top. But I think, Andy, is it time for a strip?
I think it is, Matt. I've got the music ready, and I've just realised that we were talking about Spotify. I haven't used Spotify for a week because it's still on. It's still on your song.
Just say when they're ready.
I haven't used it all week. So we'll go, and when you're ready, ladies and gentlemen, it's tonight. You've had Alan Leach from Shed 7. Now we've gone to Stripper's Heaven. It's Scott Tees.
Love that.
Nice. Ready for jazz hands? I know you're all doing it.
You ready?
Here we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's Scott Tees. What you got on, Scott?
It's just a standard Iron Man one today, the Invincible Iron Man.
Invincible Ironing Man. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Tees, specially for you lot.
There we go.
He has changed up a bit, hasn't he?
It was a little bit of a check. I left a bit later this time to take the top off.
You did leave a bit. It's a bit cooler tonight, so you were able to, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Catan, I hope you're happy. Sam Geary, I hope you're happy. All you ladies that come on especially to see Scott strip. Nothing to do with Shed 7 because Scott is a staple part of our show. Ovs.
That's true. It's I mean, to be fair, would the show even be the show without me stripping?
I don't think the show would be without you, full stop, Scott. Well, obviously it wouldn't because I wouldn't know what to do. And me and Lee wouldn't be half as funny. ETR take burlesque. Talking of burlesque, can we see your Blackpool video?
Oh, look. I mean, you're on fire time with these, aren't you?
Hey, fire. That was the set. Went from burlesque to Blackpool.
I love your...
Who's this Catan? She wants all your kits off here, Scott. She's swiped right, hasn't she? Hey, she's swiped right, hasn't she?
Cat's one of my stalkers, to be fair. I've seen her many times sat outside my house.
Fair enough.
Trying to catch a glimpse of me, my top off.
Nice.
And in my bedroom, mate. But I never call the police because I'm happy with it, to be fair.
Yeah. You don't want to be getting her into trouble, do you?
I pretend sometimes I don't realise that they're there. And I just like stand in front of the window, just like, oh, so I didn't realise.
Oh, God.
I don't know why I went really camp either doing that. I don't know.
Which is fine. You can do it camp, Scott. It's we're all inclusive. You can do it camp if you want to do it camp. If that's what floats your boat, then do it camp. That's fine.
Right. Anyway, should we go back to the Blackpool stuff?
Yeah, back to Blackpool. Top of the roller coaster, isn't it?
So this is me after making it to the top. So actually, Andy, you asked the other day, didn't you? I mean, I should have had this prepared. Of how many steps was it?
Mm-hmm.
And I do know the answer because the answer was all there as part of the thing. So I thought I'd grab all the information for you. So it's 235 foot in the air, and to get to the top, it's 420 steps.
Okay. How long did it take you?
Not that long, actually. It probably about 10 minutes overall because every 50 feet you stop for a photo opportunity.
For a fag. For a fag.
Oh, for me, it was definitely for a breather. Like everyone else is there taking photos. I'm like, yeah. Everyone's like, it's great, isn't it? Lovely. But then you have to wear a mask all the way to the top as well. That was the hard bit.
Oh no. Yeah.
So here's me after I got to the top of the tower. It's not a long video because I was scared of dropping my phone.
Okay.
230 odd feet, but here we go. And there's Blackpool view from the top.
Wow. Yeah. Still sporting the Harriers flag up there. Look, he's still got his mask on.
You've got to, when you're 235 foot in the air, you got to show your support.
And do you feel was it as you expected, Scott?
Yeah, I mean it was really cool up there, and it was as well getting to see for me, I'm a bit of a roller coaster geek. I do like designing my own roller coasters by using software. But it was good to see the actual normally you're sat in the train, you don't get to see the chains properly, but because we're at the side, you got to see all the mechanics to it. And then you got to see all at the top what happens there when it releases you, all the little catch things. So yeah, it was really exciting. It was really good, and to be that high up. I mean, from where we was, I could see Southport Fair, like the little pleasure land on Southport. I mean, that's sort of, because it was a nice clear day. That was the sort of view you can get as far as Southport.
Yeah, it looked nice. It didn't look like a nice view from up there, to be fair. And did you come down the steps, or did they send the car up for you?
No, I wanted to see. I thought we could get a little toboggan or something to go down, like on there, but no, you have to walk back down.
Yeah.
But that's the bit I was worried about. It was like going up, I went to bad, but I thought coming down, like, that's hard. And if you trip going down, because I was at the front going up, which meant I was at the back going down. I was thinking, if I trip and fall, I'm taking everyone down.
Yeah, you are, Dom. Were you strapped in and all the way up?
So, or more or less wear as a harness. And then when you go into the ride bit for the first time at the bottom of the steps, they hook you onto the wire that goes up to the top.
Okay.
And then all you just have to do is carry that up with you.
Yeah. Blimey.
Yeah.
Bucket list. What's next for the intrepid Scott then? What's next? Annika Royce.
Do you know what? I'm looking for a new challenge. If anyone's got anything. People have mentioned to me about Zip World, where there's like a long zip wire.
Yeah, RWS has been there, and it's one that I keep saying I'll do as well. But I know RWS did that last year, I think.
Yeah, so that's one of the next things I think. So, and maybe we could do a show from there and finish off with going down the zip wire.
I think we should do a live show from somewhere. That'd be good fun. That from something a bit random.
Or like if we go down zip wire together at the side, we could like sort of do the show side by side going down there
and take your shirt off on the way down.
Yeah, a bit of stripping.
Yeah, that's it. Amy Daglish wants to do a skydive. Amy, I'd like to do a skydive as well. Zipwire together. RWS is just commented. I'd like to do a skydive as well. I know it's you often have to raise money, don't you, to have the permission to do it. So maybe that's something for when things get a bit better and a bit easier. Maybe that's something for next year, perhaps. But I'd quite like to have a go at skydiving as well.
I would love to do a skydive. I did a skydiving experience before, where you just like you go in one of them big wind tunnels, and you have to you fly around. It didn't end too well for me, because I went in. The first time I went in, I was all right. There's a bloke in there with you, and he'll sort of like try and hold you. And I was flying a little bit for myself. Second time I went in, I got all my posture wrong completely, and I ended up flipped over, and we ended up on my back. Unfortunately for me, that was the time my brother decided he wanted to film.
Okay.
Like literally, as he started filming, I just flip over.
I see those things that remind me of Peter with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where the granddad from the suburb come back. That's what it reminds me of them things.
Yeah, he did it much better than I did.
There's a lot of people want to skydive. Looking at that, it's certainly on my list one day, maybe next year, as I say. Skydive. Amy, come on, Andy. Lou Smith wants to skydive. Would you sponsor me? I'm sure you could raise the funds. I think it's around about 250 quid. You have to raise, isn't it, for most places? For some.
Yeah, we could do one as a UMATA chat show altogether.
We could. I'd like to pack some people's parachutes. I know, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing for me. It probably would. I'd end up with a dodgy parachute or something.
I just pull the cord, and a load of mugs and forks and knives come out like a sleeping bag.
And someone sits down the bottom, goes to open their camera and stuff like, "Why is there a parachute in here?" Oh no!
Oh, dear. The zip wire does look amazing. That whole I went to the what's it called, Go Ape thing at the Snowdon site. But the Snowdon site where there is a zip wire, it's got some quarry go-karts that you come down the quarry on. It's got loads of things on the that Snowdon activity site. There's two different sites very close together. You've got a Go Ape type thing really high up in the trees, a toboggan thing there. And then I think at the zip wire place, you've got gravel go-karts where you have a lever and you just race down the quarry really on these three-wheeled fat-tired go-karts. So, yeah, I think it's an amazing day out. So that is on the plan. I will be doing that zip wire at some point.
So have you done zip wire before?
No, nobody on this show. Nobody in our community.
What I'll ask is if anyone's done like the zip wire thing, because I've seen it. And it is a long zip wire. And,
RWS has done it. Ask her.
Right. So RWS. My question is, I've been on the zip wire that was quite short, and I felt like after I'd been on it for like a second, it was quite boring. Because like the whole sort of thing was like being on the platform, and like the thing of like letting go of the platform, taking your feet off so you can travel. But I felt like once I was doing it and I was like, oh god, I'm thinking. Then you just kind of like a sitting duck. You just sat there now. You're just like moving like.
RWS to tell you about the feeling of it, but you actually are in a sleeping bag pretty much, Scott. You're actually this way.
Oh, okay.
And it's the world's fastest, I think. She'll correct me, I'm sure, but she'll tell you about the emotional and the feeling side of it. But I think it's 70 miles an hour, and it's the world's longest and fastest. But you're in a sort of sleeping bag type of thing, I believe. And there's videos. If you go on the Zip World is called. There's videos
now, yeah.
There's videos of it now and of it going on. But RWS will tell you what it feels like because I say I haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. Because the one I went on, it was only obviously at a small location, but I felt like once I'd sort of been going for like a second, it was just repeating.
No, I think this thing's a bit of a down across over the quarry, so it's
nice.
A bit of
So, what can you like unhook yourself as you go over the quarry?
If you want to, wearing big bat suits, you can just go off, do your merry thing. Yeah, just unhook yourself and off you go. Yeah.
Perfect. There's a few more suggestions coming in. Kat says bungee jump. I mean, it's something I've actually already doing off. When I was in Blackpool, they had like a big JCB sort of tower there. And I was like, with like a cage on it. And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. They've introduced like a bungee jump over the beach. It was hanging over the beach. Turns out that it was base jumping, but it was for like the professionals only. So it was like an organised thing. But it was pretty cool. Like they were going up in the lift up to about 200 feet high. And then they were jumping off it without. I don't know if you know what base jumping is, everyone, but basically you jump out free fall, and then when you get so close to the bottom, you whip out your parachute for a safer landing.
I must admit, I love. Rachel's put some stuff about Zip World on there, mate. But I love those bat suit things that they fly around in. I wouldn't have the guts. Don't get me wrong; it's never happening in my world. But the speed, then they go through the rocks and through the trees, and I know people get killed doing it, but hey, they seem to be enjoying it. But that's just mental. Those suits, those wing suits, they're called, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Those, and I can get sucked into watching those videos all day long. It's just ridiculous.
Some of them are really close to them.
Yeah, they go through trees and under arches, and I'm thinking, where does your brain? Do you leave it on the top of the rock?
I think they must do something. I mean, I love an adventure. I love doing stuff, but I think when there's that element of like when there's more like danger of death than there is excitement, it kind of gets a bit pointless then.
I think you want to be a special kind of person. So Rachel's got some facts for you, and Amy's off to bed. See you, Amy.
Sweet dreams. Night.
And Rachel's saying about what it's like. So it's the fact that you're up so high, Scott. The view is amazing, and it's quite a long wire. You do a shorter one first to make sure you're okay.
See, I think that's the difference. Is like where I went, it was just kind of just in a forest. It's just a short wire, and you just sat hanging from it.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something we need to try out, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'd like to go there because I want to go on go-karts as well.
Oh, see, I'm not a fan of go-karts.
They're like I don't think they're motorized. I think you literally just come down the quarry, down this zigzaggy thing with it's a 3-wheeled sort of off-terrain vehicle.
Yeah, I'd definitely go over the cliff if that was me.
Be all right. You just grab a zip wire as you go past.
Do you get a parachute in case you do come off, and then you just like
you get a rucksack. You get a rucksack,
but there's knives and forks in it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and as it's coming to the end of the show, have you got a recommends for us today?
I have got a recommends, and I can do it sort of between us if you like, because you brought me these tonight. This is why Scott and I met. So I do. RWS, and she's scared of heights. It was a massive transfer. I'm going to do these while we're on air like this, if you like, because we didn't know how long Alan would be on. So it's not overly prepared. But Scott texted me, asked me where I live and what time I was home, and turned up, as I say, for our first ever physical meeting this evening, which I felt I didn't do justice. I just forgot we'd never met, really. And Scott went off, back, see you in a couple of hours. And then, didn't even register that we've never met until tonight. Scott brought me, and I'm going to just try them live on air. I think that's the easiest thing, Scott. So this is that he recommends. He bought me 2 bits of Blackpool Rock. He bought me whiskey and cola. So, and I do have a bottle of water to clean the palate, like all good tasters.
Look at you, ever professional.
Yeah. I've always thinking ahead, and so I'm going to go with a whiskey and cola rock all the way from Blackpool. Brought to me by my lovely friend Scott. Standard rock taste as an original.
Okay. I mean, the idea was obviously this one.
What that?
This is meant to be the nice one. I thought you might like a bit of whiskey.
I'm not into. Oh my god. I'm not into. I don't really drink anyway, but I'm not into liquors, into brandies and whiskies and that. And that's a proper whiskey, but it feels like it's got Panda Pop Cola. It's like it's got Blackpool Cola, that's for sure. It might have real nice whiskey, but it's got Blackpool Cola.
Basically, yeah. They went to the cheap supermarket around the corner and bought all their roller cola.
Yeah, that's whiskey and cola, flavoured rock. I can't say I recommend that, but then I'm not a big whiskey fan, so that's probably why. The next one for me is probably even worse.
I mean, this is the one I brought just to be nasty. To be fair.
Well, I have, from where I work at school, the kids get toast in the morning if they want it, and they get a choice of toppings what they want. So I do spend my mornings trying to butter, and I don't like this stuff, but a few of them like their toast Marmite. And I don't know if you've ever tried, I can't spread Marmite, and I don't like it in my hands, I don't like the smell. So I have to that. So Scott's very kindly, without knowing, brought me something that's bringing it all back. Marmite. So this one.
I thought you either love it or you'll hate it.
So that actually has got a fairly pleasant aftertaste, if I'm honest. The initial bite wasn't particularly pleasant, but that's got quite a nice taste and aftertaste. So that's quite good. So this one, again, Marmite flavoured rock. At least it's the standard stripy rock. I'm liking that choice, Scott. I'm liking that. Right, let's go with it. Oh, a harder rock. This one was quite chewy, so it didn't crack like rock. It was chewable. That one, probably the cola, the Panda Pop. This one is a rock, in the true sense of rock.
See, I'm more of a soft rock kind of guy.
Well, I've got to say, lacking in flavour. Yep, lacking in flavour on the Marmite one, Scott. I was expecting that to be quite potent, but it just tastes like rock, if I'm honest. Yeah, no, it's rocky. It's definitely rock, more so than that. I'm biting it to see if it comes through. No. Oh,
So
hold on.
Lou says, don't break your teeth, Andy.
There is a tint, but it's certainly not an off-putting taste of Marmite, which I don't like, so I wouldn't like that. That's an edible bit of rock for me. This one, a bit more chewy, the whiskey and cola. Quite a potent taste. Quite a nice aftertaste, though. So overall, Scott, as much as you wanted me to like that one and hate that one is all right as an aftertaste. This one is more like proper Blackpool rock, but it hasn't got the taste. So thank you very much. Andy recommends whiskey and cola. He also recommends Marmite, Blackpool rocks.
There we go. Oh, and I don't know if you've been watching the chat with that, but I think I'm in the doghouse a little bit.
Well, that's wrong. I'm reading that.
Charlie hasn't helped the situation. So I had a comment from our stalker, Kat, who said, so you got Alwyn and alpaca, which I did, a lovely little pink alpaca, but didn't even get me rock. But then Charlie grasped me up. Because remember last week, Charlie was saying that when she was secretary, I promised her chocolate and didn't get it. So I brought her some fudge back. She's gone and grasped me up. So now Kat is fuming. And I don't think she'll be stalking me much more.
I think we lost it. Yeah, Kat. You can come and have this soft rock. The whiskey and cola.
There you go, Kat. Andy's a nice guy. He'll sort it out for you.
Yeah, we can have what's left of that.
Yeah, nothing like sloppy seconds, is there?
No, it isn't.
NMS says, "Oh, I like it hard." I mean, it's a bit too much information, if I'm honest. I'll put close to chomp on it. Sorry, I'm about to rock.
John's asking, did you have your fish and chips in Blackpool?
I actually didn't have fish and chips in Blackpool, no. I don't know, I've had fish and chips quite a lot recently. I just got a bit fed up of it. So I actually didn't even have any chips the whole time we were there. Which is quite a weird thing, really, because that's definitely the seaside thing to do.
And did you get a Kiss Me Quick hat?
No, I didn't. I didn't see one, actually. I think they're a thing of the past now.
Well, you probably can't say it, can you? Modern world gone mad. Good night, Lou. Good night. Thank you for joining us, Lou. Hope you had fun.
Night, Lou.
Right.
Yeah, there's a bit of war going on, so I
think it's time to leave the site.
Cat's no longer stalking me.
No.
And no treats for your pregnant best friend and you life stuff rock. But she says, thanks, Andy. You're a great bloke for offering the rest.
I'm an award-winning hero.
He actually is. Yeah, can't deny that.
Drop that out there. Two awards. I'm a hashtag lockdown hero. Certificates to prove it twice.
Yeah. And there is an article about him in the shuttle if you want to read it.
There is, yeah.
I think it's getting a bit more personal as we go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll skip that one.
Yeah.
NMS says no, didn't, in fact, no, I think it's meant to be no fish and chips in Blackpool. I met my rock and sweets. Good night, both, from Sam.
Night, Sam.
Good night, Sam. Thank you again for joining us. RWS, I got the George Cross today.
Yes, you did.
I'm not sure what that is, but congratulations.
Yeah, I got Craig a bit angry. That helps.
What's the George? Sorry, I just.
Come on.
Just clicked. I'm a bit slow.
I just bit the orange.
So I've been using your sort of joke there. Cat's gone for Andy is an award-winning hero and Scott is a prize.
Yeah,
I think you mentioned that is a great prize. And then that's what people want me up here. Awesome. Good crack. Thanks, lads. See you next week. That's perfect timing, NMS, because we are going to have to say goodbye. But thank you very much again for joining us. Once again, I want to put on record a big thank you to Alan Leach. I have to slowly say that here. For taking the time out to come and chat to us about his speed quiz in the business and how that started, which is very interesting to hear, actually. I didn't realise it started on wires before smartphones. So they kind of were doing it, wanted to do it before the technology was even there for it. So, yeah, fantastic. And then about his time in the music industry as well. If you missed any of it, it will be available to watch back on YouTube or on this Facebook page for the You Matter Chat Show. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
And until next week at 7:30, join us again. See you soon.
See you soon. Ta-ra.
Ta-ta.